Let's continue the dialogue. Having explained the nature of challenges in a student's life, let us think what needs to be done, how to really deal with those problems. There are a couple of things which are necessary, and all these things have two different methodologies. The first is education, and the second is practice. We need to provide information, knowledge pool in form of educational module. And what are these pools? The first aspect is about self-development. We must teach our children and adolescents how to evolve. What are the factors which are involved in leading a good, organized, skilled life? How to develop life skills. That means learn how to relax, how to keep your cool, how to perform best, what is the time to do what time, what tasks should be done at each time. In every individual, time varies for the best performance. Every student does not have same time of good productivity. These are individual independent variables. We must learn to recognize ourselves that what is my best time to study, remember, perform or do a particular task. Knowing yourself, introspecting, learning the art of relaxation, learning the art of time management, learning the art of communication, developing dialogue skill, improving your resilience, that is, improving your plasticity of behavior, facing challenges, enormously increasing your psychological pool, psychological capacity, developing social skill, developing high self-esteem, how to form good, meaningful relationship, how to feel happy, what things should be done to remain happy. These are the content of the topic I call self-development. So that is one part of the skill which needs to be discussed with all students. I think it should be well programmed, like every student stitches a shirt or a trouser which totally fits into his requirement. Similarly, his self-development needs to be tailored around his own persona, his habits, his challenges, his weaknesses. Individual variations are very important to recognize. If we do not focus and we treat everybody same, we'll be missing a lot of opportunities of corrections or bringing optimization in behavior, bringing optimization in psychological learning. The second aspect is that of services, the facilities. It's the responsibility of the institution to provide services. Services for number of things. Services for helping students evolve or develop their own self. That means the recreational facilities, the sports facilities, the communication facilities, the facilities for expression, facilities for learning autonomy, facilities for developing and strengthening resources, learning new skills, strengthening existing skills. These host of services can be developed in an institution with experts and professionals involved on the same page. The second type of services which are required is to enable screening. Every serious problem is a consequence of a minor problem. Behind every psychiatric disorder, there is somewhere significant amount of stress which the student has not been able to deal with. And therefore, the mechanism must be present to screen students who are the vulnerable candidates, who needs to be in surveillance, who needs some more special care, who needs to be observed. If we find that there are children, there are adolescents, there are students who are deficient in certain characteristics, special programs need to be developed for their benefit. It is important to see that their self-esteem does not go down and they remain equivalent to other students. So services for screen. Then let's come services for quantification or measurement or identification of psychiatric disorder or other challenges. So how do we know that if a child has undergone a trauma or abuse, or there is a death in the family, or there is a financial crisis going on in someone's family? It is important to identify, teach them identification signs, identification symptoms. Teachers and everyone in the school must be aware about what is mental health, what is mental health symptom, what are mental health conditions, what are the symptoms of people who are at risk of developing such disorder. So first, the facilities for self-development, facilities for identification, and facilities for screening. Thereafter, there should also be facilities for intervention. For example, if a student is going through a difficult time, or developing a depression, or feeling very anxious, or has been bullied, or has had an incident of death in the family, what are we doing about it? He needs care. The counseling facility, which is prevalent in many schools, the counselors need to be credible, consistent, and very efficient. Their training programs, the teachers' training program, the school training program, program development, all these methods are consistent part of a mental health education program or mental health service program, which should be provided within the school. Then there should also be facility for special conditions. For example, assessment of psychological functions. For example, if you want to do an intelligence quotient test or find out how intelligent someone is, whether somebody is repeatedly failing in a particular subject or particular class, first thing you would like to know what are the difficulties, and you want to know the cognitive status of the student. There should be facility. It is understandable that every school need not have assessment facility for psychodiagnostics or psychometric testings, but then half a dozen schools put together can develop a mechanism where these children can access the care, the specialized care. And last but not the least, a facility and access to psychiatric care must be available for intervention, crisis management, and treatment and prevention of mental disorder. Programs like addiction program, eating disorder program, suicide prevention program. These are the services which must be made available to each and every student in each and every college. Then the third thing that we need to develop the resource is academic support, because the students are there for their academic excellence. We, as a teacher, as an administrator in a school, one must be in a position to sketch a profile that who is the student, who is achiever, who is less, who can achieve less, whether he is on the right path, whether he is on the right course, and if no, there has to be logistics of mentoring as well as extra academic support, whether in all subjects or few subjects, or teaching them art of learning, which is most important. Number of students are quite competent, quite intelligent, but their style of learning is faulty. The third factor, the fourth comes is providing a safe environment. The environmental stress should not be insurmountable. We cannot eliminate environmental stress, no doubt about it. But the logistics must be discussed that the students get safe, secure, and healthy environment. Resources are the next condition. Resources for education, resources for personal health, resources for physical examination and making sure that they are physically healthy, resources for individual mentoring, resources for career development and career guidance, strengthening their existing merits or skills, providing opportunities for sports, debates, writing, painting, so on and so forth. And last but not the least, appropriate utilization of spiritual content of an individual. That is the most important subtext of growth and development of student. How do they develop moral values, social values, and spiritual values? Think about it, plan care, and continue to persist with mechanism of bringing change in institution and thereby in life of each and every student. There are many stakeholders. Let's not forget that students are not alone. Students' life is influenced by students themselves, their parents, their teachers, the institutional laws, bylaws, mechanisms, peers, and professionals. All these half a dozen items, half a dozen people and mechanisms participate. If there is a conflict between a teacher and an institutional head, if there is a conflict on a topic of a thesis between teacher and a student, the outcome is only going to be disastrous. And therefore, each and everyone should be a participant in the process of growth, not be competitive or try to overrule one over another. So what is the principle involved? The first principle involved is, for bringing such positive change, is presence of psychological function. I have already discussed about it, that psychological functions like emotions, mood, memory, understanding needs to be properly matured. How can this happen? One has to go back to review the childhood events, childhood situation. There has to be good discussion with parents, and one should try to find out. Now, who will try to find out? If the school counselor is good, they do often go into detail, but I believe that for each and every student must have opportunity of one-to-one discussion with professional counselors before they begin their sessions or their class. Their profile must be known, their weaknesses, their strengths must be known to the institution or people whom they believe in or they trust. The second aspect is of psychological virtues. I did discuss about happiness, contentment, trust, gratitude, resilience, etc. These are the mechanisms, these are the characteristics which make people sufficient, make people evolve, make people cope better. They make people feel happy. And the next is achieving a good state of mental health. That means good state of mental health will have good psychological abilities. Not only they will be able to perform, but they will be able to develop in a positive mental health consistently. That will build capacity to cope, capacity to win, capacity to face challenges, and even capacity to live with failure, which is most important. Everybody doesn't succeed. Most people do not succeed, but they all have to living with regrets, living with satisfaction. The two are very different situations. The grief of failure is extremely difficult to handle, and therefore there has to be preparation well in advance. Accept things as they are. Try to change as much as you can. Overcome the deficiencies. Recognize your strength. These are the methods which are useful in developing mechanism of what best can be done for students. Continue to watch.